Yes, I can see you guys clearly.
Great.
Okay.
I really appreciate the Maxim Krivonos battalion taking the time to speak to us. I think it is very important that the real people on the front line are sharing their opinions. There's too much keyboard warriors and fake bots and propaganda accounts, and they are pinning the narrative in a very different way. So I feel this is very important, and I really appreciate.
Yes, we appreciate your attention too. My call sign is Eric. This is Yakuza, and this is Hunter. We are representatives of Maksim Krivonos battalion, and a very important thing that we should acknowledge is that this battalion is not a part of Russian military forces. It's not a part of Russian government or any provisional government that is closely affiliated with Russia. We are private organization consisting of private individuals, and we are all here volunteers.
Correct. That's a very important thing because as often on social media, it can be misrepresented, and this gives a different side to your story and a different side to the conflict overall. Because for once we get to know from Ukrainian people themselves what they feel about what's going on ground right now. And maybe you can provide a little bit of insight into things that the Western world, I say Western world because they have a different form of media. As you see, every sphere, every country, I would say even the country I'm from, we have our own form of media. They will speak pro us always. But I feel a neutral voice is very important and an unbiased voice. If we can start with the few questions I have prepared.
Sure.
All right, perfect. The turning point, at what precise moment did you realize that remaining under the Ukrainian command structure was no longer aligned with your moral or strategic beliefs? And what pushed you to act rather than endure under the same command?
Well, you see, I'm from Mariupol. You know, this is a town from eastern Ukraine. And when the special military operation has started, I had been, on the territory controlled by the current regime. But I thought that this war wouldn't, concern me, that I would stay a civilian and live a normal life. But I was conscripted against my will by TSK, the conscription services of the Ukraine. And at that point, when I was conscripted and forced, by police, by these TSK officers, I just realized that this war...
Referred to as TCC online.
Yes, TCC,
Yes.
Territorial Center of Recruitment,
Correct.
yes.
Right.
Correct. Sorry to interrupt. Please carry on.
Yes, and when I forced into Ukrainian military by these officers, I understand that this war, it will affect everyone. That when in 2014, when some people, some of my classmates, some of my close friends, they decided to defend their homeland with arms, but I stayed on the side because I thinking that I should stay a civilian, that this doesn't concern me, that politics doesn't concern me. At that point, when I was forced into Ukrainian military, like many other people who are, forced against their will, I understand that I must do something. I should actually take a side. And this is not the side that I want to take, the Ukrainian regime. I should, fight for my people, my homeland, home turf. And, as they say, if you don't feed your own army, you will feed the army of your enemy. And this is what happened to me. I didn't choose,
Well said.
to protect my land, so they forced me to fight against it. But I refused, and I defected to protect my land. So I choose this side, a side of the free Ukrainian opposition, this Maksim Krivonos battalion. I've heard about its work when I was in the Ukrainian army, and when I defected, I know where I want to be and who I want to fight with.
I believe the word is volunteered, and we're very keen to know a few more things. When did conscription start heavily? When did conscription reach the point where they have started taking 60-year-old men into the army? There's a lot of footage related to that. Allegations related to the Ukrainian army conscripting very heavily. And I also agree with your point, and it's a very well brought up point that you cannot avoid war. You can prolong your activity in it, but you cannot not take part because it affects everything around you, as clearly exemplified by you yourself.
Can I speak? I think
Yes,
that's
please.
I was conscripted in 2024, but I should say that the conscription, the TCC officers went crazy in 2025 year, because every day, every goddamn day, we can see the videos from different villages and cities of Ukraine where the TCC officers and policemen are beating, kicking, kidnapping, and sometimes killing people. And it doesn't matter that it doesn't matter if you have problems with your health. It doesn't matter that you have a weak heart. It doesn't matter that you have maybe one eye, etc. If you are man, if you are man, it means all units that a man has been spotted, he should be kidnapped. Yes. So, and I think that the point, maybe the point, it's 2025 year when conscription crisis went crazy with all these beatings, kidnappings, and killings.
Correct. So it's taken on a form of forceful conscription now. Which comes to my next question. This is a little bit out of field. We can edit it if required. Are you guys aware that there is massive people avoiding the conscription in Ukraine by paying amounts of $7,000 to $10,000 to various NGOs which are linked to people close to Zelenskyy to let them escape the country on the basis of being volunteers for various other work? And if you guys are aware of that, what do you feel about that? And how do you feel the people of Ukraine who are forcefully conscripted feel about their brothers who have paid their way out of the war?
Well, you see, this is exactly the problem. The corruption runs rampant in Ukrainian military and medical services, and I think this is not exactly a correct number as of now. It's now like $16,000, I think, not $7,000.
Okay, $16,000, correct.
Yes.
Thank you for that update.
Yes, because
the prices change.
It becomes harder and harder to flee from the country, and because of that, the price is also steep. But what I might add is that Ukrainian military and medical services, they are themselves doing the conscription on illegal terms. A lot of people have medical conditions that by constitution of Ukraine and laws of Ukraine that they supposedly upheld, they are not fit for service. And oftentimes these people that are not fit for service are going to battalions. They are almost always, these are people that couldn't help themselves to protect their rights. They don't have money for a lawyer, for example. And because of that, this corrupt system uses these people who couldn't protect their rights. They are forced into battlefield, despite this is illegal in Ukrainian system to actually put these people on the line. While those people who have rich, relatives, they have connections. They are, like corruption works everywhere, right? And they are getting the free ticket. They're either fleeing the country or they're, having their calm and comfortable life somewhere in Kiev. Sure.
All right. So NGO corruption has been prevalent. Please speak. Please speak.
Ситуация еще получается следующая. Когда человека мобилизируют, когда его ловят на улице по поводу коррупции. $2000 это цена, чтобы тебя выпустили с этого бусика. От 7 до 10 тысяч долларов это чтобы тебя на неделю отпустили из центра комплектования с ТЦК, чтобы ты сделал себе бронь. Чтобы полностью откупиться, там уже десятки тысяч долларов идет цена.
As Hunter says, there is also prices for different levels, of involvement. For example, if you just was caught in the street by this TCC boss, the price is just $2,000 for they just, to forget they ever caught you.
Overlook you, correct.
Yes. If you are exactly driven by them to the center, they have a price of $7,000 to
От 7 до 10
from $7,000 to $10,000 for you to have a solution like legal some crooks to
correct proof of reason to leave the country.
Yes, you have to
or reason to not conscript.
They give you like a week or something to have a legal reason to leave or have a legal reason to stay without conscription. And if you really want to out of the system, out of processing, the prices are tens of dozens of thousands of dollars.
All right.
Причем эту информацию распространяют не только люди, которых мобилизируют, которых ловят, которые там смогут откупиться. Эту информацию неоднократно в украинских СМИ рассказывают профессиональные военные, там командиры подразделений и так дальше.
Военные,
даже,
политики, журналисты, да.
Они это официально озвучивают, что такое есть. Это именно военные.
And this information is told not only by the victims of this Basification forced conscription. Yes,
Correct.
This information is taught by the different politicians, by the different professional journalists, etc. So it's this information is spreads over the Ukraine.
Yes, it's verified.
Yes,
by
yes.
different sources.
It is propagated through a network of NGOs, cabinet members of Zelenskyy, lawyers, judges, and journalists,
Exactly.
and certain battalion commanders as well.
That's
Unfortunately, that's the reality. So now that we've got to the point of like the battlefield truth versus the propaganda, as it's becoming more clear and more evident, what would you guys say from your current position on the front? How different is the reality of this war from what both Kiev and Moscow portray? What do soldiers on the ground truly believe they are fighting for now? Because as you can see, disillusionment is rife amongst the Ukrainian army. What do they believe they're fighting for now? What is left to fight for currently?
Let me
Who are they fighting against?
Let me try to answer. Because as for me, right from the beginning, I felt uncomfortable. It means that I was in the right place before the conscription. Because I was a teacher in 3 universities. I'm a former teacher of Japanese language. I worked in 3 universities, and suddenly, yes, unfortunately I didn't have
Very
rights,
talented.
rights to avoid conscription. So I was conscripted in the June 27th. Yes, 27th. So I right from the beginning I didn't want to go to the war because I understand the nature of this war, and I understand the reasons of this war, and our countless propagandists, it's like different bloggers, politicians, journalists, they like to every goddamn day they say that you should protect this regime. Okay, they don't call the government as a regime, but in fact that you should protect this regime, and you should. It's a beautiful time. Yes, it's a real word. It's a beautiful time when you can write your name into the history of Ukraine. So, but they sometimes they avoiding the fact that this is a blood massacre, and we have a huge loss. And for example, the Zelenskyy, our
Chief Justice.
Yes. He every day he says that the situation is controlled. Situation is under control. But as we can see, the situation isn't definitely under control. For example, the situation about Pokrovsk. Zelenskyy every day, Mr. Zelenskyy said that everything is okay. Yes, the situation is difficult but controlled. No, it's a total lie. It's a total lie, and we understand this. We understood this because as a result we can see that now the Pokrovsk, we can you can say that Pokrovsk are lost. We have lost the city, and so it's because.
Could I just clarify from a Ukrainian army point of view that Pokrovsk is lost, but from the visuals on ground and alleged claims from a lot of citizens on ground, they are treating the Russians as liberators. Why would you think that's happening? Do they feel the Russians are liberators, or do they just feel this is an end to the war, which is what they're happy about?
Смотрите, ситуация следующая, что вот буквально 10 дней назад я вернулся как раз-таки с боевой задачи, с того направления, где я воочию видел все, что там происходит и как идет продвижение. По поводу того, что вы... Переведи сразу, да?
Well, Hunter was exactly at the position near Pokrovsk, or Krasnoarmeysk, we call them. 10 days ago, he seen it in his very eyes, and he is about to tell you what he seen exactly.
Please go ahead.
И получается ситуация следующая, что мы постоянно, работая на линии болевого соприкосновения, когда мы заходим в населенные пункты, неважно, это маленькое село или большое большой город. Там все равно остается очень много населения, очень много мирного населения.
Well, when we're having our combat missions, we often go exactly to the settlement. Either it's a small village or rather a big city, no matter what. There's always a lot of civilian population left out in there.
И когда эти люди остаются, они все-таки встречают российских военных, нас в том числе, особенно когда они узнают нашу историю, они встречают как все-таки скорее освободителей, потому что когда мы с ними общаемся, когда мы выполняем боевые задачи, плюс мы дополнительно оказываем гуманитарную помощь, они нам рассказывают очень ужасные истории, как себя вели военнослужащие ВСУ. Понятно, нельзя подводить полностью всю украинскую армию под эту мерку, но отдельные подразделения вели себя, как минимум негуманно, если можно так сказать.
So, the thing is that when either Russian forces or this exact battalion, other private organization, there's a lot of them working on this direction, when they meet these people, this civilian population, they're greeted warmly by civilians. The civilians really want to see us there, they want to see Russian forces there. And why is that? Why? This is because they tell us when we're talking about, and we also provide humanitarian aid to them as a part of relief effort. They tell us that the Ukrainian detachments that were stationed in their settlements, they do terrible things to them. They do unspeakable to them. It's very terrible, and they were very afraid. So they are greeting us as liberators.
Работая по населенным пунктам, это Селидово, населенные пункты Новогродовка, это где мы проводили свою работу, в которых мы работали и вместе с российскими войсками освобождали. Встречали очень много населения, очень многим помогали гуманитарно, помогали выезжать. И закрадывается вопрос в голове, даже элементарно, чтобы максимально просто ответить на ваш вопрос, почему украинская власть до определенного периода времени, они объявляют про эвакуацию людей с города, где ситуация настает критическая, потом они полностью закрывают выезд и не дают возможность выехать людям. Просто люди получаются как живой щит. В это время, когда в населенные пункты заходят российские военнослужащие, мы в том числе, мы под обстрелами, под угрозами безопасности собственной жизни, мы вывозим этих людей в максимально безопасные условия и места. Это неоднократно мы делали, это также публикуется на нашем интернет-ресурсах: Telegram-канал, TikTok-канал, YouTube.
Well, you see, there is several exact, instances like Selidovo and Novogrodovka, where we have helped to evacuate the civilian population alongside the Russian armed forces. And the problem is that the Ukrainian government and their provisional divisions, they do this strange thing. They call out the evacuation, but only before certain event happened, and then they just close up the settlement and they don't allow any civilians to flee that settlement, which means that they're trapped in there. And we have provided, relief effort. We help them evacuate. We evacuate them in the safe zones, even under fire, under exact danger. We're risking our lives to, evacuate this population out of there because they're locked there by Ukrainian armed forces. And we also have videos of that on our several platforms like YouTube, like Telegram. We have, actual evidence.
Correct. A lot of that alleged evidence is floating around. And since you brought this topic up, it brings me to the next question, because you've given me a lot of insight into how Ukrainian army and certain divisions are treating people, which is what's driving them to feel like the Russians are the liberators, whereas the picture painted maybe in certain theaters online or in the media is very different. So could you give me a little bit of insight into if there is a rampant neo-Nazi problem amongst the Ukrainian army? Is that what is causing all of this strife amongst the civilians? Is it being hidden? And what are your experiences on these claims? Have you interacted with any of these battalions? Do you know any soldiers who are openly propagating these battalions' propaganda? Because we see a lot of that online. There are allegations and alleged footage as well of various members of Azov battalion engaging in neo-Nazi behaviors. Is that why the Ukrainian citizens feel tortured?
We will try to speak about this question. It's like definitely we have some problems with neonazis because because the post-Maidan government, I mean the government which started their work after
Correct. The 2014 government, the Euromaidan government.
Yes. The Poroshenko government. So they started pushing this Ukrainian ultra patriotic ideology. It means that I think you definitely know the 14th Grenadier Division SS Galicia. Do you know about this? Yes, it was a collaborationist who fought on the side of the Third Reich. And in our new history and in our new new lessons of Ukrainian history, they are portrayed as the protectors, as the heroes of Ukraine who fought against the Red Plague, against the communists. So, but and it's very funny because often Ukrainian nationalists love to skip the SS abbreviature, these letters, because it's very it's really compromising.
Yes, it's a controversial topic as well.
Yes,
and it's something that will polarize the West if it is found out that Ukrainian army allows neo-Nazism.
Yes, it's like they are using neo-Nazism as a weapon to provoke Russia it's like this ideology is like a weapon. It's not maybe around all the country, but they like to play with it. They like to use it as a weapon against Russia. It means even if it's SS forces, for example.
Yeah, actually, you see, this is Azov battalion symbol, right? You said that they don't use SS, symbolics, but this is a Volksankel. The Volksankel is exactly one of the SS divisions.
Yes,
symbols.
it was the SS Das Reich division.
Correct. There's a lot of divisions that still exist. You can see the symbolism is obvious.
Hunter, please.
Я хочу еще дополнить, вы знаете,
lot of divisions that exist since the 1930s till now on both sides.
Вы знаете, еще вызывает какую-то большую к этим военнослужащим в составе ВСУ, к их убеждениям, нынешним убеждениям, их убеждения, они вызывают какую-то к ним ненависть, злость, ярость, потому что, все-таки в прошлом веке можно смело сказать, что весь мир столкнулся с очень большой угрозой. Когда нацистская Германия, по факту они хотели поработить весь мир и установить одну только свою расу, свою нацию как главной. И как Украина, Россия, Беларусь в составе одной великой страны, они воевали и пытались искоренить все это, и им это удалось. И спустя просто буквально короткий период времени предки тех солдат, которые погибали, которые умирали за свою страну, умирали за жизни будущего поколения, они просто наплевали на своих предков, растоптали все, что было, и пошли тем же курсом, с которым сражались их предки, дедушки, бабушки.
Well, he says that these Nazi battalions, they especially give us a lot of rage because once they were, once there was this evil ideology of fascism, right? And our
grandparents,
our ancestors, they fought this, together. Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, other nations of the Soviet Union, we defeated it. We thought we put an end to this. But today, the sons of these heroes, they become these new Nazis. They reinvent this ideology, and they once again try to bring this to this world. This is very sad, and we should, put this to the end once again.
And the government supports this because right from the 2014 year, the Poroshenko's government, he started the process of decommunization. It means that he started the renaming the streets, renaming the cities, the villages,
Correct.
and destroying how about to say.
Especially in the Russian-speaking areas back then. That's what caused the Crimea annexation, if I'm right.
Mariupol.
Yeah.
And it was really forced upon us. The people who were not agreeing with that, they were kidnapped, they were tortured in SBU. This is security of Ukraine. In their compartments. It was brutal.
It was the worst in the Donbass region, if I'm right.
Yes, exactly.
Where there were atrocities against Russian-speaking civilians as well, when the alleged Ukraine government of that time, which was a coup, it wasn't a proper government, if I'm right, they extracted atrocities against the Russian civilians as well. So there's a pattern of around 11 years of atrocities versus civilians of their own and of Russia. This is troubling, and it's unfortunate because the soldiers might be the perpetrators of these atrocities, but they are not the ones who come with the plans. So the blame is never on the people taking part on the front lines. That's what we're trying to make clear. That's why we're trying to give you a voice.
Yes, that is true. And, these people were not only torturing, some Russian citizens, they were torturing what they perceive as their own, as Ukrainian citizens as well, just for thinking wrong, just for not accepting their evil ideology.
Correct. So, considering now that we have such a fresh perspective and a deeper perspective on this conflict, and now that you find yourself after so many years, and if you think about it, so many generations, right, of fighting on a particular side against evil, now you see yourself having to volunteer to the Russian side to fight against the same evil. Now that evil is within your home. Now it's propagating from inside. What do you guys feel about that? Having once fought against the Russian forces and now finding yourself closer to their lines. How has your perception of the Russian military and the men you face changed over time?
Maybe I think the same people as we, because as you know, for the long period we were together. We were in one country. For example, the Russian Empire. After the Russian Empire, it was the Soviet Union. So we have a long time of common history, because we were living
and culture. Correct.
Yes, we were living in the same cultural, historical and religious fields. So I think you've got it. Yes. So it means that we even our families. For example, my parents, someone from Brno, it's a Russian city. Someone from the Kharol, it's of course a Russian village. I'm from Kiev. So and even our parents, our grandparents are from the every side of Soviet Union, because it was a united big country, but with different nationalities. But so and we have a lot of common things to speak. So it's especially for me, it's very easy to speak with Russians because of a lot of the great amount of common things.
Common words, syllables. Yes, I understand that.
Even the language, because whatever the Ukrainian nationals said, okay, I respect Ukrainian language, because as a former teacher, I used Ukrainian language during the war. But my mother language, yes, correct?
Motherland,
yes. Language.
Correct. Mother tongue, language. Yes, it works.
Excuse me. My mother tongue is Russian. So and a lot of Ukrainian people speak Russian language. And whatever the Ukrainian nationals said, okay, we respect Ukrainian language, but a lot of Ukrainian citizens, a lot of Ukrainian people speak Russian. That is
yeah, and you speak about how we perceive, Russian forces. Well, you see, I have unique perspective. I was pro-Russian from the start, and you see, the problem was that I saw Russian forces as, these Superman elite brigades of elite people, Spetsnaz. But when I come here and, I serve alongside them, I see these are normal people. They are good guys. They're just like us. They're, they're not robots. They're not some Superman. They're very good, very, friendly people, but they're just people, like everywhere.
Correct. The blood is always red either side, isn't it? No matter your uniform, the blood is red.
Exactly.
It's the same sentiment shared across battalions, across conflicts currently. Another thing that this brings me to, since you guys told me so much about your shared culture and history, do you all feel that the collapse of the Soviet Union led to the borders being drawn of Ukraine right now have caused this instability because the borders which are drawn have displaced people. There are Russian-speaking people and culturally Russian-dominant people on the other side of the Ukrainian border. Do you think those borders were wrongly drawn? This is a general question because this is something that's observed in the Indian subcontinent. Our borders are not drawn by us. This is something that's observed all over Africa and the Middle East. That's why majority of conflicts in the world happen today.
Well, this is a very hard question. Exactly. This is such, these borders, they have such a long history and such a messy history that I don't feel that I'm qualified to judge here. You see, this is extremely complex questions, but surely that Soviet Union collapse was a really, really grave disaster for us. Not only just because borders, but you see, in the modern world, which is very globalized, the industry and the logistics chains, they were also interlocked within the Soviet Union, and when it broke up, a lot of people were left on the other side of the history, left without work, left without their future. And while I couldn't say where the border should have been drawn, I do agree that a lot of these disasters, the wars, the poverty, the economic situations, yes, I do agree, it's exactly because the fall of the Soviet Union, not just the communist regime, but more like the family of nations that were always together. We always were together for hundreds of years, for many generations, and now we're set apart. And what's worse, the neoliberal elites, they're trying to use us as a proxies to fight each other. This is a tragedy of this all.
Very true. Very well said. I really appreciate that answer, especially the last bit. Do you still see yourself as Ukrainian patriots fighting for a truer version of Ukraine, or as a separate movement altogether, a new identity forged by betrayal and blood, considering the experiences that you and a majority of the battalions and civilians have gone through in the past few years, where now with all the corruption, the scandals, all of it coming to the front, do you guys feel like now you guys need a new movement for yourselves in Ukraine, or are you guys still true Ukrainian patriots and just not a part of Zelenskyy's regime?
Maybe can I try to ask a question? So maybe I want to say that, for example, especially me, I am fighting for the new Ukraine. It's like for the new Ukraine because nowadays Ukrainian is an anti-Russia project, because our Ukrainian was turned into the anti-Russia project, and it's not normal because we should be a country with their own way, but our like
overlords.
Let's say our overlords from the high cabinets of
colonial overlords.
Yes, our colonial overlords from the high cabinets of the Western governments, like French government, German government, especially Great Britain government, and it's Mr. Johnson. Yes, we remember his words after the spring.
Mr. Boris Johnson, yes.
Yes. Do you remember his words after the in the 2022 year? It was Istanbul peace agreements, and he said that no, we will never we shouldn't sign anything with Russians. Let's
correct.
Let's fight. Let's continue fighting. Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you very much.
Correct. He said we should not concede, and he said we should keep fighting. I remember that. Yes, I remember that.
Definitely.
And how does it matter to Mr. Boris Johnson, who's not even in power anymore?
Yes.
It's not him or his son or his brothers dying on the front lines. It's you and your family and your brothers. So that's the sentiment that needs to be brought out to the people.
Yes, and so I want to say that we are fighting for the new Ukraine, because we have our new vision of Ukraine as it should be. Because as the anti-Russia, this anti-project is a mistake. It's a big mistake, because it shouldn't be as it now. So.
Yes, but you can also say that we are fighting for the restoration of the old Ukraine. Not the Ukraine that was created in 1991 by the fall of Soviet Union, but Ukraine that existed as a historical reality that lived alongside its Slavic brothers and other, nations that made up of Russian Empire, then the Soviet Soviet Union, and we try to restore this brotherhood of nations. So in a way, we also want to revert to the old ways of the Ukraine, so to restore the peaceful, the neutral, and the brotherly Ukraine that we lost, unfortunately.
Correct. It's not even 60 years back, Ukrainians, or as modern day, they're known as Ukrainians, the Russians, the Americans, the British, the French, they all fought on one side. So that is a past that we have strayed away from. Now moving on, I wanted to come back to your battalions and your command structure. Could you give me a bit of insight? Because many former servicemen do speak of disillusionment with the corruption and political manipulation within the Ukrainian ranks. From your experience, how deeply did these issues affect frontline morale and trust in command? Are there undeserved promotions? Are people being allowed? So we already spoke about the monetary value assigned to the soldiers who look to escape. But apart from that, what other kind of corruption and politics is going on? Is there siphoning of funds that are otherwise required, for example, for body armors, for proper supplies? Are Ukrainian soldiers not getting the kit that they require because of corruption, embezzlement? Is there a lack of ammunition because of that?
Вы можете сказать, вот случаи, когда коррупция была, допустим, что ставили командиров там частей, которые вообще просто чьи-то ставники, чьи-то родичи, когда там, допустим, проблемы со снабжением возникали из-за коррупции, или какие-то большие коррупционные скандалы с выплатами, вот такого рода.
What I'm trying to understand is how deep is the corruption? Is it only at the top level or is it institutional? Are multi people taking part on it at each level, down to the unit level?
Corruption is like our established norma in Ukraine, unfortunately.
Ну, я скажу так. Ну, насколько там известно вот статистики и всего остального, за последнее время коррупция, ну, просто развивается в больших размерах. Конкретно по тем случаям, что я знаю, допустим, у меня парни, мои бывшие знакомые, это был период 22-23 года, они какой-то период времени стояли на границе с Беларусью, там находилось их подразделение, они там получали боевые выплаты как в зоне боевых действий, и для того, чтобы спокойно, допустим, ездить на выходных, каждые выходные домой с воинской службы, они непосредственно платили своему командиру батальона. За каждую поездку на каждые выходные они делали выплату денег.
So, we all know that the corruption runs rampant at the very top, but here Hunter tells about the corruption, that is within the unit of he knew. These people were stationed on the Belarus border, the region where the fighting ceased in 2022 and didn't continue at all, but they were, having all the money that average soldier on the front lines would have. They were having, the supplement money that were designed only to frontline personnel. And when they wanted to leave for home to have, their leisure time, they were just paying their direct commanders and they were letting them to their homes. This is the exact, the average corruption level, not the very top, but on the battalion and platoon level corruption.
No, correct. It's important to expose that also because that's what you guys deal with on a daily basis. We talk about the corruption on the top all the time. The men on the front line suffer from the minor corruption amongst the units. It's when the brotherhood is betrayed, right? When there's a price to going home and there's a price to being alive.
Ну, если побольше случаев, такие более уже высшего уровня, это когда солдатам предлагали, что вот у них там командиры забирают карточки для боевых выплат, официально оформляют, что человек находится в зоне боевых действий, на боевые задачи, деньги получает командир, а солдаты просто сидят в тылу и ничего не делают. Получают там голую зарплату там в 30 тысяч гривен.
So when we're talking about more high up level, the battalion or brigade, it's when the commanders of the unit, they take the card, the payment cards of the soldiers who have to go on the front line and they don't want to go to the front line, so they agree, so their money that they should be paid, it was going to their commander, and for that they were just left somewhere relatively safe.
Correct. So we're noticing this as a trend and it's rampant. Do you guys notice that there's a lack of supplies when you were in the Ukrainian army? Did you feel like what was being assigned or the billions of funding that is being pumped in, is it represented on the front lines?
Вот скажи, ты когда-нибудь сталкивался с тем, что мало было снабжения, было плохое снабжение, недостаточно боеприпасов, недостаточно оружия, или оно было некачественное.
Бомбардирование какие-то провокации.
Да, непосредственно сталкивался, будучи в том числе на стороне, когда воевал в ВСУ, я был командиром взвода. То есть я должен был понимать, чего у меня не хватает, что мне нужно моим бойцам. Неоднократно было такое, что бойцы получали, мягко говоря, убитые автоматы, если можно так сказать, старую потрепанную броню, старые потрепанные каски в том числе. Когда выезжали на позиции, и у подразделения были те же натовские вооружения в виде пулеметов, не хватало патронов, потому что специфический калибр натовский идет. Когда ситуация идет там критическая, допустим, нет нормального подвоза или там какие-то другие, там есть задачи свои в подразделении, бывало такое, что бойцы сидели на позиции там по 3, по 4, по 5 дней без еды и воды. Если там сейчас это как-то пытаются исправить с помощью дронов, на тот момент, период 24 года, бывало такое, что вот я, находясь на позиции, мы с парнями на один день делили на 3 взрослых мужчин и одну банку тушенки небольшую.
So, you see, Hunter wasn't just a normal soldier, he was a squadron leader and an officer, and he had the first-hand experience with all that. Oftentimes, the assault rifles that his soldiers were having, they were rusty and old, and so were body armor and equipment, and it was constant undersupply for ammo, especially for natives. You know, the very few American weapons that they had, they always had little ammo for them. They all had almost no ammo. And what's worse, not only happens with equipment, but even with the food and, you know, water supply. There were instances where for several days the soldiers in the position, they had to, you know, somehow hold out on the one can of, you know, canned meat. They were starving and they had to continue fighting.
That sounds extremely dire. Now, I think we're running a bit out of time for today. I definitely want to catch up with you again. I just have one last question to you guys, and I would like all three of you to answer this individually. Is there anything you have to say to your brothers and sisters at the end of the day at home in Ukraine, right? To your brothers and sisters still on the front line fighting in the Ukrainian army. What is your message to them at this moment? What appeal could you make to them? Since we are all so close to peace, the global posturing right now shows that we're very close to achieving a peace. All that's required is for Zelenskyy to concede and accept the peace. This is what Trump is pushing him for. It's what Putin would want. What would you say to the people of Ukraine? As Ukrainians, first and foremost.
Okay, let's start from me. Режим Зеленського вбиває. Будь ласка, не потрібно воювати за цей режим. Якщо Зеленський залишиться при владі, Україні прийде кінець. Будь ласка, його владі потрібно покласти край. Він має бути притягнутий до відповідальності. Він, всі його друзі, все його оточення. Також повинні бути притягнуті до відповідальності всі його ланцюгові пси, поліція, ТЦК, прокуратура. Будь ласка, режим має впасти. Якщо режим не впаде, Україні не жити.
Now I should say that многие люди, которые сейчас сражаются на стороне этого ужасного режима, они сражаются из страха. Они боятся, что их посадят в тюрьму. Они боятся за свои семьи. Они боятся того, что пропаганда рассказала им про Россию, которая якобы может захватить их дом и сделать с ними ужасные вещи. Не верьте этому всему. И то, что вам говорят, что вам будут, если вы сдадитесь, делать ужасные пытки, что они будут ужасно обращаться, это все неправда. Многие люди сложились с оружием, они до сих пор живы, и у них все хорошо. И поэтому я хочу сказать, не бойтесь делать правильный выбор. Многие из вас насильно, вот особенно из юго-восточных областей, насильно загнаны на этот фронт, как пушечное мясо. Просто вы должны сделать для себя выбор и понять, нужно ли вам вообще эта война и за что вы сражаетесь. Вот я хочу такую идею донести, чтобы вы сделали свой выбор, за что вы сражаетесь.
Я скажу коротко. У меня такой месседж к народу Украины. Задумайтесь, за что вы реально воюете. Думайте, нужна ли вам эта власть, нужны ли вам, вашим детям, вашим внукам и будущим поколениям вот эти нацистские идеологии, нацистские лозунги. Неужели вы хотите дальше воевать за них? Реально подумайте и задумайтесь, где по-настоящему ваш истинный враг. Враг сидит глубоко глубоко в центре Украины, и он просто разрушает ее изнутри. В один прекрасный момент эти все ваши лидеры, они беспрекословно тихо пропадут, вы станете ни с чем. Задумайтесь, пока не поздно, пожалуйста.
That is all.
All right. And if you don't mind, if you guys could also give an English version of that so we could share with our audience exactly what you said as well. Just one of you, that's all right. We don't need all three, but we just want an English version to clarify to the English speakers who won't have the effort to read the subtitles or a transcript, to explain to them that this isn't warmongering, but this is an appeal to the brothers and sisters of yours.
Yes, for example, let's start from me.
Yes.
Several phrases. So the main point that the regime of Zelenskyy is killing our people, and this regime should be destroyed. Because if this regime continues his functioning, the Ukraine will die. So Zelenskyy, his friends, his regime should be stopped right now.
Yeah, and my message was that a lot of people are fighting because they either fear their imprisonment, they either fear for their families, or they fear the propaganda image of Russia coming to their homes and doing terrible things. And I want them to think it over, to see the alternative, to see that we are here, we are all right, there is nothing really terrible happens to people who lay down their arms, who want to make a choice, and it's a different choice than to fight for this terrible regime. I want these people to make a choice to stop here and make a choice to fight for the right side. And Hunter says also they should make a choice, but different one. He wants them to see that the real enemy is not here, it's there in the Kiev, that it slowly destroys the country from within. And when the time comes, these old people, their leaders, they will just disappear like they never have been there.
Correct. Like their families already have moved with the embezzled money abroad and are living very comfortable lives in London amongst many other European cities. There is enough and ample proof of that that will be exposed in due time. And also just one last question and we'll wrap it up for sure. Do you feel that this war is being prolonged because Zelenskyy is trying to avoid prosecution? Because the moment this war is over, all of the crimes committed by him and his cabinet of the time when it comes to the corruption and embezzlement will be in focus. So do you feel the Ukrainian people should realize that and push for peace rather than prolonging the war?
Yes, and I do believe it's not only the fear of prosecution, but also the fear of losing his dictatorial rights, because now he's clearly a dictator who has extra rights to rule the country, to pillage the country, to actually make money. So it's not only driven by his desire to just be safe, which he's too ambitious for that, I do believe, a desire to keep himself as a dictator like forever.
Yes, and after the change in the government, he definitely will lose his ability to rob us, to steal our money. He and his friends, definitely.
Correct. You guys say he's ambitious. Do you think they're his ambitions, or do you think he's just a puppet for somebody else's ambitions? Pardon my word.
Mainly, he is a puppet. He is a puppet of the corrupted politicians from the West. As I said, from Great Britain.
The money trails never lie. Money trails never lie.
But as we can see that he's a puppet who wants to maybe to escape from the total control from his overlord.
Yes, I do believe he's like an Invisal. He knows that he is controlled by these powers. He acknowledges that they control pretty much everything in Ukraine. You know the protests that were brought against him when he tried to to disband the Anti-Corruption Bureau, which was obviously an instrument of the Western influence. But he also tries to navigate through different Western ideologies and Western nations, and he tries to leverage his position to the better big. So he is pretty cunning and ambitious on his own. He's not just some helpless puppet. He is pretty evil person.
Definitely not. Yes. As usual, they profit on the war. He's already sold $650 billion worth of contracts to BlackRock for the redevelopment of Ukraine. So yes, he's definitely not as simple as he looks. He's not an actor. He's acting, but he's not an actor only. That's what we are certain as well. And that's what we wanted to get clear across, because it's important to hear it from people who are on ground and who are actually Ukrainian themselves. Because it's very easy for the perceived enemy to speak about someone, and for someone to speak about something that affects their motherland at the end of the day. That's very important, and it's very important in this dialogue for peace, for this message of yours to get out to the Ukrainian people that at the end of the day, the blood is red, the languages are similar, the culture is similar. You have a shared history, even if there are many differences, and whatever differences have been manufactured currently are just that, they're manufactured. At the end of the day, it's in the Ukrainian people's arms to beg and plead and force Zelenskyy to concede and take peace. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Could you please sign out with your call signs one last time so we can just keep it easier for the credit?
Please,
Please repeat.
Could you please sign out with your call signs so just I could keep it easy for the credit?
I'm Eric, this is Yakuza, and this is Hunter, signing off.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much. I'll get back to you. We might need to adjust a few things in post-production. It was a pleasure speaking to you. If you guys would be open to something like this, I have a few more questions which I would get forwarded to you. And maybe when you guys are available next, we can do a short thing to further push the peace process along. Because that's what we really want. And as you will actually realize shortly, your story is corroborated on many sides. There are many people who feel the exact same way you do. And that's very important. And that's what will bring peace closer. And maybe the dilution of this enmity between people who are actually brothers for a lot of time. Really appreciate your time, Hunter, Eric, and Yakuza. We'll be signing in again. This is Tactical Conflict Observer signing out. All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time. We'll be in touch. Thank you.
Thank you.